State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline, and today we have a lot of catching up to do. There's been a lot going on around the basket. There's been a lot happening in professional basketball in the NBA as well as in college hoops. So there's a lot that I want to get to in this episode. But first off, I wanted to get to, and the D-League. The D-League opens up today. They have their season opener today. Today is November 11th. And so, anyways, first off, I wanted to start with the Cavaliers being invited by Obama to the White House, and the squad going over to, enjoy the White House and spend time with Flotus and the president. And it was actually pretty cool. And the cool thing about winning a championship, because the reason why they were invited, for those of you who don't know, is because they are the reigning champions of the NBA. And so they were invited to spend time with the president and go on tours and just enjoy and being congratulated by him for their success in last season. And it's really cool because this is just more perks of winning the championship is getting invited there and going. And this is not something new. Other professional teams also in the NFL go and visit and all of that. And it was a lot of fun because that's not an opportunity that many of us get or will ever get. Unfortunately, being invited to the White House is not, that's just not an everyday invitation. But if you're somebody who wins championships often, such as King James himself, you get to visit more often than others. And it's just a lot of fun. And if you were on the NBA Instagram or NBA, because I follow the NBA on Instagram, or on Twitter or any social media platform in general, or if you follow any of the players from the team, then you got to see a lot of those pictures posted. And I think that my most fun or my favorite picture, video clip, whatever, because remember last year when everybody was doing, was it last year or the year before? I forget. It must have been the year before, but when everybody was doing like the you got dunked on challenge. I don't know what it was called, honestly, but everybody would do it to me, where like you just slam dunk on somebody or juke somebody out, and Flotus did that one. So that was a lot of fun a couple of years ago. But this year they participated in the mannequin challenge. And I don't know what it is about the mannequin challenge, but I think it's hilarious. And I think it's funny when the Sacramento Kings most recently did a mannequin challenge, but they weren't even in the basketball courts. They were actually outside on the side of the gym, on the side of the Golden One Center. And I don't know, I just think that the mannequin challenge is a lot of fun. I think it's hilarious. I always like to look to see if anybody's blinking or anything. So they did participate in the mannequin challenge with Flotus herself, as well as some other staff members and people who were a part of that celebration. So the Cavaliers did get a chance to go do that. And there's been some talk Jalen Rose, Chauncey Billups, as well as some of the players themselves, including the Cavaliers, as they were there, in regards to whether or not they will continue, depending on who wins, whether or not players will continue to go to the White House in the next upcoming years based upon the our president-elect Donald Trump. So that's going to be interesting to see, because again, this is a once in a lifetime. Well, for many once in a lifetime. For the very few, they get it more than once, but an invitation to the White House. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not teams and players will continue to do that. And I mean, it wouldn't be anything new for a player to decline an invitation to the White House. It has happened in the past, but we'll just see what happens. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But anyways, so continuing on with some more news, I wanted to jump into the D-League real quickly. So the D-League, like I said, is getting ready to have their season debut, and it's actually their 16th season, which is pretty cool. So they've been around for quite some time, I think, but most recently, they've been really, really popular. They're actually debuting with the most teams that they ever have had, which is 22 teams. And within the next year or two, with the Atlanta Hawks deciding to bring on a D-League for them in 2019, by that time, there will only be 7 NBA franchises without a D-League affiliate. And the really cool thing about the D-League, though, is that their respective affiliates, they're a 1-to-1 partnership. Okay. And so if you're playing for the Santa Cruz Warriors, and that's the affiliate for the Golden State, and then the Reno Bighorns with Sacramento, and so on and so forth. And so I think it's getting really popular and more interesting, because players are able to bounce. Well, I don't mean the word bounce in a bad way, but able to go back and forth, because then it gives the if you're drafted or if you're brought on to a team, they can waive you just straight to their D-League and develop you. And I mean, that's what it's called, the developmental league. So it's going to be interesting how it's going to continue to grow, because there's worth now placed in the D-League. Like, it's not one of those things where you go to the D-League and you're forgotten about. They actually will bring on or trade for certain guys specifically to send them to their D-League team to basically groom them into the players that they want, that will be better positioned on their team when they're brought up. They're even considering adding in some clauses in regards to like a 2-day contract. And so it's really growing, and it's becoming a better situation, even for veterans. Shannon Brown right now is with the Golden Rapids Drive. He's nursing an injury. So it's a way for you to have some place to go to, like if you're a veteran, to heal, as well as if you're a rookie or new to the game, to learn and to develop yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, as well as in your abilities. And then, so it's not that there's not this stigma of it being a bad thing anymore. It can actually work a lot into your favor. And then also for coaches, coaches can use that kind of as a launch point. It really is like the best way for me to describe it. And this is how I described it to my nephew the other day, because I have a couple of friends that are playing in the D-League right now. And so I was telling him about them because he knows some of them. And so I was telling him it's kind of like the JV team. You can get moved up. You can get moved up. The coaches, it's a learning period and a starting point for coaches as well to launch off into their career in the NBA. So it's really not that big of a deal. And again, they're opening up. They started off at just 8 teams in 2001, and then in 2008, they started to grow and get really, really popular to what it is that we know now. And so it's really, really, really just a lot of fun. And like, for instance, just some statistics to give you kind of some perspective on this is just under 50% of the players drafted in 2015 were also in the D-League as well, spent some time there. And, they all... For instance, Hassan Whiteside, he's over in Miami right now, who just signed a major contract, max contract. He, started off in the D-League. So it's really not that bad anymore. That stigma is gone. But we're going to cut it to a quick break. And then when we come back, I want to jump into college hoops. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I will be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline, and I wanted to get into college basketball, and it's really exciting. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I love when basketball takes us places that we would never go before and opens up different opportunities and different doors for us through the game that we all love, whether we have played basketball or we've just been fans of the game for forever. Everybody has hoop dreams. And through hoop dreams, we can sometimes accomplish other dreams or get to just accomplish things that we didn't even know were our dreams. And so it's really exciting because both Harvard and Stanford are playing in China. And so they're going to have a game in China, which is really, really cool because it gives them an opportunity not only to, one, as players and as a team, get to go outside of the United States, which again may not have been an opportunity for any of them, myself included, to go to China. If I was a part of that crew going to China, that you might not be able to have that opportunity unless it was afforded to you through basketball. And they are going out there to have that exhibition game, or to have that game, but not even just for the game. It's really, really cool because they have a lot of things on their schedule. For instance, like the Crimson, they are going to have a meet and greet with the online commerce company Alibaba. They are also going on a tour and going to be able to visit some of the ancient temples. They're going on a tour of a museum. They're going to be playing an exhibition game as well against the Jiao Tong University team, which is really, really exciting too. So that they're going to be able to get in, be able to showcase themselves and also showcase that university's team for the fans out there, as well as being able to appear in the Shanghai Disney Parade, which is really exciting. And then also get to have an appearance and meet some of the students who attend a school that's funded by the Yao Ming University. And then they're going to, on Friday, get back to business as far as basketball is concerned, and then have a game on Saturday. So it's actually really, really cool. The Cardinals are also going to do a lot of those similar activities, but they also get to go on a cruise and play another exhibition game against a different university. So it's really cool because, I mean, I want to go visit the Shanghai Disney, and they get to be part of a parade there, and get to immerse themselves within a different culture. And for those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, that's fine, so I'll just tell you, but basketball is a really big deal overseas in China, and the NBA has a lot of fans in China. Steph Curry went over to China this over the off season. There are a numerous amount of international teams that a lot of guys that you may even know from college basketball will go play overseas, and a lot of times they'll go play in China because there's so much opportunity in China, and they love basketball over there. We have a lot of fans. There's a lot of basketball fans, of course, throughout the entire world, but China is a really big hub there, and that's why there's a lot of, when they do overseas professional games, and now, as you can see, overseas college basketball game as well. So, and it just gives an opportunity to one, because there are a lot of international students that attend a lot of these prestigious universities as well. And so who knows? There might be some Harvard and Stanford alum in the crowd in China while they're going to go play over there. So they get to see their college basketball team in their home country, which is exciting as well. And so that's going to be a lot of fun for them. I am very excited for them. I wish that I could have an opportunity such as that to play the game that you love and to go play overseas, which is a lot of fun. And so they are very excited, rightfully so. And it gives them an opportunity, and it's pretty good marketing as well, because just as for the schools in general, for Stanford and for Harvard, just in general, just by wearing those jerseys, that's getting more marketing for the schools, as well as, opening up that fan base, which is always a great thing for both the professional level and the college level. So I'm very excited for them. They, and for Harvard, really, who has been doing such a great job these last 4 years and being very successful. So it's continually being able to open up more doors as they participated in the Battle of Atlantis in the Bahamas, which is really cool, as well as the Great Alaska Shootout. And now they're in China. So it's really exciting to see how this program has grown and to see all the opportunities that are being, that are happening for this program through their winnings. And then including in today's episode, I wanted to get to the NBA as well and discuss the Pelicans, who have finally gotten a W. They have a check mark off in that W column, as well as the Warriors and someone who they have been waiting to recover and come up off of the injured reserve list. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I will be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, and we are getting ready to wrap up this episode. It's a little bit of a shorter one today, but that's okay. So you guys know that I love the way that Anthony Davis plays, and I love how hard he's been going in the season opener, and we have all been able to see him give it his all, but then also getting quite frustrated, rightfully so, because it's like when you give all that you can, but then you start off the season 0-8. It's really hard to not feel upset, rightfully so, and it's really hard not to want things to change. And so, thankfully for all you Pelican fans, they have finally won a game. And thankfully for me, it was very, very, so they beat the Milwaukee Bucks, okay, and they beat them 112-106. And Coach Alvin, he was saying, of course it was a relief. I quote that. And he was saying that they have been fighting for their lives because for some reason, every time they did something, it just went wrong and that they could not pull out those wins. And so, and which can be kind of discouraging. I don't care how old you are, how long you've been in the league, whatever. If you're starting out 0-8 and then the previous season you started out 0-6, it's difficult not to get discouraged, and it's difficult not to see not to feel like you're just sabotaging yourself and that you're giving it your all, but it's not working out. And especially when you have one of the greatest players, especially as far as one of the greatest centers in the league at this time, in Anthony Davis, and it's not pulling out for you. And so it's nice to see that they finally got a win, and I'm excited to see what is going to happen as they continue. Is this going to be the kickoff, some of that morale boost that they were needed, but will it be able to continue? So I'm excited to see that because, like I said, it's really difficult to get that, to keep your team motivated when you're losing constantly. And so speaking of getting off to a kind of a rough start, is the Golden State Warriors, Damian Jones. He truly got off to a pretty rough start. He was injured before even getting drafted. He was drafted 30 overall in the most recent NBA draft, but he actually tore his right pectoral muscle weightlifting 12 days, so less than 2 weeks before the draft. But luckily, as we discussed, he was able to undergo surgery in June to repair that. He is planning on, so right now he is with their D League, the Santa Cruz Warriors, and hopefully if everything goes according to plan, because he has been rehabbing and getting stronger, and they have deemed him, so last month he was deemed able to practice, but without any contact. Okay, and so now they're really excited because he is set to play against the Sioux Falls Skyforce, and that game's going to be taking place November 25th, and so this is in the D League, and depending on how well Damian Jones does there, and depending on how his body responds, they're really hoping for him to get bumped right back up to the Warriors, where they have been wanting him. He's a 7-foot guy, 245 pounds. He's a rookie. So luckily he is under Coach Kerr, who understands and is really one of those coaches that wants to build up his players and is okay with the molding you to be productive. And so he understands that, one, he is a rookie, he's a young guy. Two, he suffered an injury that he's having to rehab right now. And they do have other guys playing in the center right now. They have Zaza Verajao. They also have JaVale McGee. But the thing is that Damian Jones is the only center who is still going to be on contract next season. So that's the thing, is if he can do well and is able to produce and is willing to, be handed over that torch, then, there's room for him. There's space for him, and they can possibly do some things as far as him being a number 1 or number 2 slot in that position. So, and you guys know that I love comeback stories. So I am excited to see how he is going to do now that he's able to rehab. I'm excited to see his debut. Hopefully, if things go well, like I said, on November 25th against the Skyforce out of Sioux Falls. So if you're a Warriors fan, this is really good news for you guys, because you guys know I'm a Kings fan, so it's not we as in we Warriors fans, but we as fans of the game of basketball can see what he is able to do and see if he was worth that 30th overall spot to the Warriors, and if he can be is able to contribute to a team that really has a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and they're slowly, they really are gelling well, but it'd be nice to have a nice solid center for them as well. So that's actually going to do it for this episode of the podcast. You can listen to this episode again, as well as any future and previous episodes, on our network website. That's gsmcpodcast.com, as well as on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. I'm your host, Pauline, and I will talk to you guys next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movie movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.